What's good, everybody? It's your friendly tour guide, Elevated Chillz, back again to elevate your chills. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a watery covered story to unfold. This one is known as The Pond, but to me, it is much, much more. The Pond is a scary story about two young boys who go swimming one hot summer's day. This story is also known as the Pond on the Back 40 or Pond of Snakes. It was a hot summer's day and two brothers had finished all of their chores on the farm. Their parents were in town in the pickup, and the boys decided to cool off with a swim in the stock pond on the back 40 acres of their farm. Their father had always told them never to swim there, to walk a mile down to the creek instead, where the water was cooler and much, much more transparent. Don't ever swim in that pond on the back 40, their dad would say. Go on down to the creek where the water is clear. This saying was burned into the kids' heads, but the boys were tired and didn't feel like walking that far. The pickup was in town and the tractor was low on gas. They decided to walk the short distance to the pond. Their dad would never know. The sun was burning down and the water at the edge of the pond was warm, but the western side of the pond, which had an earthen dam, was shaded by the dam and a tree. The muddy, brown water was cool enough there. The older boys got out of his sweaty overalls quicker and dove into the murky water while the younger boy was still taking his shoes off. The older boy came up in the shady part of the pond and shook his head and laughed. Then he drove back under the water with his feet kicking above the surface of the pond before sinking into the solid brown water. Just as the younger boy was walking into the warm mud at the edge of the pond, getting ready to dive in and cool off, his older brother came out of the water right in the center of the pond. The older boy shot up out of the dark water past his waist. Sinking into the water, he began to shout, "Go back! Don't come in! Go get Dad!" The younger brother stood staring at the older boy as he sank back under the brown surface. "Don't come in!" screamed the older kid. "Go back! Go get Dad!" And his head disappeared under the water. The youngster ran as fast as his bare feet would carry him back along the dirt road to the barn. The pickup was just pulling into the yard. The boy raced up to his father and told him what had happened. "Oh my God," said the father. "Come on," he quickly exclaimed. The younger boy, out of breath, had to run hard to keep up with his father. The man ran into the barn and grabbed a grubbing hoe, then tore on down the dirt track to the pond. The man began to dig away at the earthen dam that formed the hillside pond, tearing the dirt up with his digging hoe at the lowest point in the dam. The older brother was nowhere in sight. First, dirty water trickled out of the trench, and the man was digging and digging. Then it began to pour and cut its way through the weakened dam, rushing in snaky, brown waves past the ferociously working gentleman. Gradually, the flat, slit floor of the pond became visible. There lay the older boy, his body wet and swollen. At first, the boy looked like he was starting to move in the now shallow water. Then the younger brother saw what it was. Crawling across the body of his brother, a gray water moccasin, the poisonous cottonmouth snake, to be exact. Then another, then another. By the time all the water had drained from the pond, the body of the older boy was covered by hundreds of gray snakes, twisting and rolling, the yellow and gray spots on their underbellies flashing in the hot summer's heat. To be fair, the boys should have listened to their father.